This group, this team, is learning the nuances of what it takes to close out a game.
Hello, folks, and welcome to Got Your Back YEG, morning after a big win edition. Yes, the Edmonton Oilers are figuring some things out, aren't they? Closed out a game against a really good team last night. Was it perfect? No. Was it entertaining? Hell yeah. What a game. So entertaining. We'll get to Jason Strudwick and Zuby in just a minute. First, a reminder, Got Your Back, brought to you by Mr. Dirk. They're located just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. I've gone to a lot of different clothing stores over the years, and there's just something about Mr. Dirk. The way the shop is set up. Fancy. Casual. It's awesome. Great setup, great atmosphere, great environment. And they've got absolutely everything you need. Not only is it a beautiful shop, but the clothing they have there, high-end suits if you want them, customized the whole bit, or they got all sorts of stuff that'll fit different budgets. Casual clothes as well, too. It's not just about suits. Any type of clothing you're looking for, go see Sterling, go see Dan, Mr. Dirk. Long-time local company. Great success story, great people. Mr. Dirk, your one-stop shop for all of your clothing needs. Okay, bit of a motley crew this morning as we say hello to Jason Strudwick and Chris Sabunia. So I hopped on the chat this morning. Guys, full disclosure, you can probably see it. I like the red eyes. Like next to no sleep last night for basically no reason. And Struds, like, I'm not going to lie, pal, you look like hot garbage this morning. Zuby, is it me, or does he, like, he's almost cadaver-like in his coloring?
A tiny bit green. I may have to adjust that in post, but a little on the green side.
Can you adjust that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I try to be, guys, I try to be professional. And last night, I was not. I'm completely hungover right now. First time in the history of Got Your Back, I'm hungover.
That's disappointing. That's the first time.
I'm going to be honest. Like, can I bring the energy today? I'll try. I may have to fake it. I have quality points I want to put into this podcast, but I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm hungover right now. At this moment, I'm drinking Gatorade as fast as I can get it into my body. So I thank my neighbors. My neighbors came over last night, and we watched the game together. Next thing I know, the port was just flowing. It was like,
so it was wine. You're wine hungover.
Yeah, port. I don't drink. They drank wine. I drank the port, and then obviously after I have a few, I'm like, let's get the good stuff out, and then everyone has to start drinking it. Selfish neighbors, but anyways, I'm hungover. I'll try to bring you something here, Shogger. I'll try to not mail it in. I'll bring my effort.
Zuby, there's one other time he was hungover. Were you saying?
I feel like there was. I feel
you
like
been
there was
to a game
in the playoffs when you were at the games.
Yeah.
I think there was.
Well,
I think there was a couple.
I think that's the one time I text you guys after the first period saying, I won't be on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, you did.
That was very professional. There was one was one where you literally excused yourself before we even.
I don't think it's professional, but at least I was honest. I'm like, I'm out.
No, that's good. And you know what? I knew something was up because last night in the press box, I ran into a very good friend of both of ours and an old teammate, one we both love dearly, Nat Dominicelli, who's now actually the general manager in Lugano over in the Swiss League, which is a pretty sweet gig. So we were chatting all about that. But I sent you a picture of Nat and I.
Right.
And, you kind of always feel goofy sending a picture of you and another guy to another guy. And but I thought, I know, Struds would be happy, right? Like, I'm going to send this to Struddy. Crickets, nothing, zero for the whole night, no response.
There was nothing.
And I was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have sent that, whatever. But
no,
you were just having fun.
I woke up to a ton of texts. My buddy, what a game. Like, this is a great game. Everyone's texting me. I didn't answer one till this morning, and I just woke up about 20 minutes ago. Like, yeah, it was a good game, man. Yeah, what about that slew foot? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what I think about it now, but we used to call Nat the Tarbaz, the Egyptian magician, because he was so good with the puck.
He was a magician with the puck for sure. He was our captain for a little bit there. Yeah, he was. So you and I didn't play at the same time in Kamloops, but we played with a lot of the same players. And he was the one that rode shotgun with Jerome McGinley. the year that I was there. He and Jerome and
nice.
Bob Motti were a line. They were just a killer line that tore the league apart.
Yeah, between those three, over 600 NHL goals. But
Yeah. Well, you mean between the four of us?
Yeah.
Hey, Zuby, can I be? I'm going to be vulnerable here, Zuby.
Okay.
I don't know the difference between wine and port.
Oh boy.
What's
geez.
the?
Okay.
What did?
You know what? I can't articulate. I mean, I am aware that they exist and they have similarities.
Okay, I'm glad
but
you're
they
with
are
me
different.
here.
I couldn't articulate it.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
Struds?
tough.
What's the?
Tough. It's a little more sipping, right? So wine, I mean, you can chug it with the best of them, but what port is it's considered.
Chug
It's a
wine.
little bit. I find it's a
chug
little
wine?
heavier, and I don't really drink wine. If you guys come, if I go to your house and you crack out the wine, I'll pretend to like it and I'll drink it.
Okay.
But port is something I actually really enjoy it, and usually I just I'll pour a glass. So everyone goes to bed in my house early, right? So I'll pour a glass and I'll have a glass, and it'll take me the whole game.
A glass of port will get you through the whole game.
Yeah, because you're sipping it, right? I'm doing stuff or whatever.
What is it? What's the difference? What's the? Is it? It's
a little sweeter.
But it's wine.
Oh.
It's just a different
It's
kind
still,
of wine.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
So it's
It's
still wine.
fermented longer or something. It's
delicious.
Shall I look it up?
Yeah,
I can get back to you guys.
If you look it up, it'll just say delicious. That's all. If you Google port, that's all that comes up.
Okay.
But don't. It recommends it not to consume it in by the gallon. And
it says that it's actually a maritime facility composing of one or more wharves or loading area. Oh no, wait a second.
That's. I think you're. Yeah, multiple meanings.
It's
I'm sensing there, Zuby.
A fjord. I think
it's a Portuguese fortified wine, typically a sweet red wine, often served with dessert.
Yeah. So I skipped the dessert part.
You drink a dessert wine?
Oh,
is it sweet?
Oh, I pulled one out last night that someone gave to me. It was unbelievable.
But it's that really sweet wine though. Like you can drink
sweet,
more than one glass of that?
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Well, last night I did. Usually, like I said, it's one deep pour, and that lasts me 2 or 3 periods, depending on how the game's going.
Well, let's see how you function hungover on port.
Because
Oiler fans want to talk about that game last night. Zuby, before we let you go, because you got to push the buttons and pull the levers and such. We talked about the Campbell glove hand the other night and went right through it. Then he switches the old glove out.
Switches gloves, yeah.
So as a goaltender, have you ever had a glove that just craters? Like if it gets too worn in, do you have to replace your glove after a certain period of time? What did you see there?
Well, you if you have the budget for it, you can replace it. But yeah, an older glove.
Jack has the budget.
Yeah, in fact, mine right now, this one that I have, which is about probably 5 or 6 years old, this full set that I've got. Occasionally, it hasn't happened many times, but I have had the one goes in. It wasn't that in my glove, and you look and your pockets folded inward.
It collapses.
Folded inward. Yeah, sure. Collapsed inward.
Right.
Like an old baseball, similar to an old baseball mitt, which that can happen with too. So yeah, it does happen. That's a terrible feeling. It's a really crappy feeling because you did everything right, but your gear let you down. So yeah, that's a tough one I felt for him. But that was funny that he had the other one.
Yeah, changed it right out. Well, and he's been going through that gear change in general. Yeah. So, but boy, real upswing in his play, and it's been massive for the group. Zuby. We'll check in a little bit. Nobody on this podcast slept enough last night.
Sober up.
No.
I know. All right, let's get to the breakdown, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. DLR Vinyl supplies some of the nicest maintenance-free fencing and decking products out there. If you've got that wood fence in your backyard or the wooden deck, and you're dreading the snow melt because it's going to need staining, it's going to need sanding, maybe even replacing, and you're like, because none of that's fun to do. Consider maintenance-free and consider DLR Vinyl Products. They've got locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. My brothers run those branches. Brothers are in town this week. We had a bit of a summit, a DLR Vinyl summit, I would say, at Brother Rick's. And so a few were feeling similar to you, Struddy, yesterday morning, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. That's a good time.
Mm-hmm. We get a lot of brain work done at those DLR summits. Okay, let's dive in to the game last night. So a 5-3 win for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and kind of almost different games from the Oilers, right? They come out and they start the game a certain way, Struds, and then boy, Tampa Bay'd in the second period. And I was really interested to see what the Oilers were going to bring in the third. So what quality were you impressed with last night from the Oilers most?
I thought that last night looked like a little brother against a big brother, and the little brother was saying, "You know what? I've had enough. You know what? I'm now whatever, a man, or I'm no longer, a foot shorter than you. I'm going to stand up to you at every turn."
My younger brother Rob, by the way, has yet to take that step in his life. Continue.
Just like a lazy glove hand from Zuby, it might never happen, and
he's going to hate that.
No, but in all honesty, the Oilers look like a team. They're like, you know what, not tonight, but we're not going to be denied.
That's a great point.
They came out and they were they wanted to set the tone. They did. The first period was for the most part all Oilers, and you could see various players on Tampa trying to turn the tide, and give them credit. Like that's gamemanship that I think the Oilers still have to learn a little bit. But the Oilers answered back, and then Tampa, who is 3 times to the Stanley Cup final in 3 years, which is crazy. They didn't get rattled. I said it yesterday on Gregor's show. This is the team you get up. They get up. Doesn't matter. They've been through it. They've been through every situation as a group, their core group that you can imagine. So they didn't get rattled. So they get back into this game, right? Couple nice goals, and kind of get back into it. And then to their credit, the Oilers, they didn't get rattled either. And they said, okay, no problem. Like that's the ebbs and flows of a game. You're not going to dominate every single second of every game. And then they came back and they got the win. And not surprisingly, their captain's the one who scored the game-winning goal. But I loved last night's game. That was the most enjoyable game that I have watched, all year. I'll even go back. I don't think I can beat those playoff games last year, but I love
regular
that
season
game.
Though, man. Yeah,
it is incredible. It was a playoff game. It was a young upstart group or inexperienced upstart group trying to show that the old guy, like, hey man, like this, no more. Like it's our time. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. It was an incredible game to watch. I can only imagine what it felt like to play in it.
Yeah. I love your little brother versus big brother analogy. Because really, I mean, on a couple of fronts, right? So think about, let's say you're Connor McDavid. And I don't know, Pat Maroon kind of big brother-ish for Connor McDavid, maybe a little bit, right? They played together. Big brother looked after him. Well, in this game, his little brother, Kostin, went out and challenged the big brother and to a scrap. And I go back to the LA game, Struds, 3 scraps there. And the team kind of hardens a little bit. Something in their play has kind of hardened since then. I don't know if it's the commitment to details. I don't know if it's the confidence, the swagger, a little cockiness. I'm not sure. But in last night's game, Pat Maroon did what he did, which is odd because they're all such good buddies. By the way, I won't tell tales too far out of school, but I was walking to the press box last night and they were all having a chat after the game, just catching up and such. Like they're good friends, but it just shows you how ugly it can get out on the ice sometimes. And hey, that's good competition. But Darnell Nurse takes the fight with Perry. Klim Kostin comes out and does what he did with Pat Maroon. 2 months ago, this element was not nearly as evident in their game. What did you think of those 2 scraps last night and maybe the overall quality we're seeing from the Oilers as a more hardened group that takes care of its business in a better way?
Well, we've talked about it before. What comes first? A close team or a team where everyone gets to play? Everyone played last night. Now, Puljujärvi was the late addition. He didn't play as much maybe as some others, but everyone feels like they're a part of this. And you can tell it, man. You can see it. They all are. Like Holloway last night was almost 13 minutes in the best game of the year. Now, I'm not saying he played a bad game, but like this was a huge game, just statement-wise, and he was involved in the game and playing, and Vinny Darnay finds a way to get his minutes up there. Like everyone was involved, so you want to be a part of it. You don't want to be left to the sidelines. And I was sitting with my neighbors, and they're all a little older. And after the first period, I said, Kostin's going to fight Maroon. Oh, no, it does.
I said the same thing to Nat. I looked at Nat and I said, Kostin's going him.
Yeah. And he did. And you know what? That was a great fight. And when it does not matter. Well, he lost. Who cares? Who cares if he won or lost? It's the idea that you are like, enough. We're not taking your shit. And again, little brother, big brother. We're not taking it, man. We're not going to take this crap from you anymore. And so he fought him. But everyone was involved in that game last night. Everyone, even Nurse and Perry. I don't love that fight for Nurse. I get it. I do get it. I would rather see him go and like push around Killorn and just abuse him. And I forgot who hit him. Someone hit Killorn at the end of the first, I think it was.
Fogel, I want to say.
Yeah, it was dirty.
Fogel. Yeah.
It was a dirty play. Like, it was dirty. And I love that. But I'd rather see him go after Killorn and say and like push that guy. Like, Perry isn't the first line player anymore, right? That's really what Perry's got now. He does two things. Three things actually. One, goes to net, two, irritates you, and three, skates badly. Those are the three things that he does. And I think that you have to just find somebody else. I get it. I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. Right. I would just rather be someone else, like Nick Paul, like someone who further up the lineup that is, because Perry, that I think you're doing them a favor when Perry takes Nurse off the ice for 5.
Okay, so let's dig into the nuance of that Nurse fight, just because I think you bring up an interesting point. I thought the same thing in the moment. I thought, that's probably not a fight that Nurse necessarily should take, right? He's a top pairing blue liner. Corey Perry is a depth player. And this is what Tampa does, right? And Jay Woodcroft talked about this post game. When the game isn't going well for them, they have role players that go out there and do their thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what Corey Perry was doing. He was recognizing our team doesn't have the juice tonight, second night of back-to-backs. He was going out there trying to find a spark for his team. So right at the end of the period, Darnell Nurse knows this. Perry is clearly challenging him in a way that the whole building can see. And so in an ideal world, maybe Nurse doesn't oblige there. But we also hear Struds about, the code and kind of the game within the game among guys who are willing to do that. And was that a bit of a respect fight that Nurse gave to Corey Perry? And I know Corey Perry isn't universally loved and respected out there, but was there a little bit of that, you think, in Darnell's decision-making?
You don't have to do that. I don't believe there's a code for that. I mean, you can choose when your team is playing well to not fight someone, right? Yeah. I never felt that way. I never felt. It's not like Nurse ran over Kucherov and he's had to get him. Like Maroon, he knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, that someone was coming for him, right? So I hear what you're saying, but the whole code thing, when you're up, I don't think you have to take that fight. I don't think so. And if you do, I think you say to Perry, buddy, I'm not fighting you. You're going to play like whatever number of minutes tonight. It's got to be further up the lineup. And but whatever. And I get it in the moment. You're proud. You're at home.
Absolutely.
This is your house, and you're right. You are being challenged. And you're like, yeah, I'll give you a thrashing. But anyways, and Perry didn't even really fight. Like he dropped his gloves, but I wouldn't call it a fight from Perry. He was just holding on. But nonetheless, the Oilers, it just felt like at every turn they were able to match them. So physically, I thought they matched them. Your captain gets hit, you're matching them. The Tampa Bay comes back, you match them. The penalty kill matches what Tampa did in their power play. Like,
great point.
It just felt like the Oilers had an answer, and for everything they did, and it was just a complete game by that team, who's playing really well. And I keep saying it, but man, they look like they did last year. Everyone's involved, and it's so fun to watch. And let's not dismiss Campbell's contribution either. A bit of a surprise start last night. Yeah. I'm not saying the wrong choice, just a surprise for me. And man, he looked solid and just, it looked easy for him. Where in the beginning of the year, it looked like he was all over the ice. Yeah. So trending the right direction.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Campbell in a minute. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here. Connor McDavid, I asked him post-game about the Nurse fight, about the Kostin fight, about this team's ability to take care of this business in a different way lately. And I thought his answer was interesting about the way the Oilers are perceived and what teams maybe think they can do when they roll up against this team. And maybe that's changing.
I think Kostin leads the way there. He wants that, and it's been impressive to really watch. He obviously takes on a big man there, and Nurse does the same, and Kainer's willing to do that. It's not. I think some teams come in and think that they're going to run us right out of the building with physicality, and we got the guys to stand in there.
I think if you're Connor McDavid, if you're Leon Draisaitl, and by the way, I love the fact Connor jumped right up and went back at Maroon. I think that's good competitiveness, man. He wasn't going to get shoved around. I mean, I think we all know how that would ever go, but still, he jumped back up, got in his face. And then I thought it was hilarious when Leon came over. So Draisaitl comes over, and he didn't go at Maroon. He went at McDavid and kind of cut off McDavid and just erased McDavid, so he was no longer anywhere in Maroon's view. So you got their skill players jumping in there, and McDavid standing up for himself. And I just think that when you can show that level of competitiveness, and I think McDavid's right. I think teams do feel like they can run that team out of the building, and are they changing it, Struddy?
Yeah, so there's two elements here. There's a fight, right? So you get in there, and you're right, Maroon, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing to McDavid. And I love that McDavid got it back up and went in there, and then everyone came flying in. I love that. I love that moment. But fighting is one thing, but the reality is fighting is when the play is not going on and it's 1 versus 1. I believe what you want to watch for is in play. Are they backing down from confrontations, like physical, to go get the puck? Yeah. Are they worried about getting hit? Are they shying away? And we're not seeing that. And I think that is as important or more intimidating than accepting a fight. Just the fact that you're not going to turn down from, and it's not like huge hits, but you're not going to turn down from going to get that puck against Hedman, or against Paul, or against Perry, or against Maroon, or against Oregon. You're going in there, and that is, it shows you're not going to be intimidated, but also it's frustrating because you're like, God, these guys just keep coming. And that's what we're seeing from the Oilers, from Fogle, from Holloway, from you just keep going on down the list, that supporting cast. So there's a lot of good things happening in this team, and it is great to see. And it is a team. We didn't see a team. I believe we didn't see it till 5 games ago. Now we're seeing a team where everyone's contributing, as you say in English.
Yeah. And Evander Kane comes back too, and he added a level of swagger to the group when he arrived last year. But you know what I think is meaningful, Struds? I think it's meaningful that they found this before Kane got back. Because they did. They found some of this before Evander Kane returned to the lineup. That LA game where a few guys stepped up, they've kind of hardened as a group a little bit, and they did it, and then they added Evander Kane back. And I think that's good that they were able to do that without him in the lineup. Back to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here. We'll remind you that with 45 years in the business, should you need a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, any of these things, or need them serviced, Weiss Johnson is absolutely the place to go, and they have some great specials on right now. No GST on garage heaters. They got 20% off all in-stock air conditioners when you purchase a furnace as well. 5803 Roper Road, Weiss Johnson, your place to go. Weiss Johnson, whoa. Okay, Jay Woodcroft liked what he saw physically from his group last night. He addressed it after the game too, and as a coach, standing there, felt proud of him.
What I'm proud of is that our team stuck together. Our team answered the bell in numerous ways. We knew it was coming, and we were ready for it, and we went out and executed. I don't think it took away from our team play. It didn't, in the end, the right team found the 2 points at the end of the night.
Gutsy, like a gutsy third period too. You wonder how it's going to go. I remember in the press box, I said, Tampa's definitely getting one this period, so the Oilers are going to need 2 to win here. Well, the Oilers get one right away, Struds, but what we're seeing late in games is they're able to find a quality of play, not to just be hanging on for dear life. They're not hanging on for dear life in their third periods when they have leads.
And I think, Connor McDavid's contribution to this team can't be underestimated. We can talk about all the goals he's scoring, all the points, and he's on pace for 100 goals. But I find, and I'm sure there's someone out there who has been tracking this, but the time of his goals, it seems like when they need him to score, he scores. So the Oilers don't need him to score 5 goals every game. It would be nice for sure. But when they need a goal, he gets it. And that goal, it was huge for them to score that goal. And it was Connor, the way he did it, just drives the net hard and goes around a Cole. I don't know how he gets around him that fast. Like that's a whole nother conversation. It blows my mind. But anyways, gets around Cole so quick, boom, shot, and it just kind of trickles in. Like Connor McDavid, your captain scores. Boom. Okay, guys, we need this period. And then boom, we're just off, right?
Yeah.
But that's what leaders do. That's what those big players do. So the supporting cast is so important, and I'm talking from Campbell to the D to Darnay to all these guys, but it just feels like when they need something from like an impactful goal, he scores. He recognizes the moment and he does it. And that's his job. That's why he's a captain. That's why he's paid $12.5 million. That's why he's the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need him to score that first goal, but that was a huge goal for this team. And he understands that. I don't know if it's innately or he's like, hold on, guys, just hold my bottle. I'll be right back. But I think
hold
that
my
is
port.
Yeah. But it is a huge. It is something I don't think we talk about enough, that his timing is huge for this team. And they know it. They're like, we're going to keep pushing. And then, okay, we need a goal. Okay, buddy, go get one. Okay, good. Now we're back at it. Like, it's just or even on the power play. And I think the power play can also be like this. Maroon, was it Maroon's penalty? Maroon, that was on Maroon.
And then Draisaitl sniped?
Yeah. So they're like, Maroon, I think that was a Maroon penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Maroon came out of the penalty box and both Draisaitl and McDavid chirped him on his way back to the bench.
So again, Maroon is trying to set the tone, and I love that. Like, I do like that kind of hockey. Yeah. He's like, okay, that's how you want to play? Hold on. Just don't sit down, buddy. You'll be out in 10 seconds. They go out quickly. They fight for the puck. Nuge gets it, pass to McDavid. McDavid slides it to Draisaitl. Goal. Kick in the nuts to Maroon, and it kind of neuters them. Yeah. It neuters them. You're like, okay, do you want to do it again? If you want to do it again, just let me know. We're going to score again. Like, it's the timing and understanding, because it's
swagger, hey? That's swagger from a team.
But it's also the timing, because it just kicks them in the nuts. It really affects you. Then it affects the other teammates, because like, oh, Patty's trying to get us going, guys. Oh shit, they just scored on. Yeah. Okay, well, we still want to play physical, but we just got kicked in the nuts. So yeah, I think that McDavid's sense of timing, and then the power play like that last night, and for Connor and the power play, it's been pretty much all year, but some goals are worth more than others. And both those goals, I thought, were key messages delivered to Tampa by huge members of the Oilers team.
Yeah. And not only is it, so Maroon tries to play physical, tries to send a message, the team, sure, let's go. And then boom, power play stings them. And then to your point, they realize how careful they have to be with taking penalties against this team. And then I think for a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning, Clem Kostin takes on Pat Maroon. Probably a lot of those guys on the bench are going, who is that guy? Yeah. Like they probably don't recall him being around. And so now the guy that went out and set the tone physically is engaged in an even scrap with a guy. And it probably doesn't feel like the Oilers of the past, right? Where, they're not actually going to get shoved out of this game. The Oilers sent that message with their power play and with their fists, and Kostin did a good job with that. It's a great point, Struds. I like that. We'll get to our takeaway segment in just a second. I want to talk about Vinny Darnay, though, because I'm looking at the stat sheet here, and there's a number that I want to point to. So Darnay at 10:29 last night, I thought he had another really solid outing, just solid. But the numbers I want to point to are the penalty kill. 1:32 shorthanded time on ice. Then I go up to Tyson Barrie, 0 time on ice shorthanded. Think about the difference of having a guy that is structured and shaped the way Darnay is out there killing a penalty versus Tyson Barrie. This is an area where I think this guy is really going to be able to help this team night in, night out, and makes him hard not to play.
The opportunity he's getting is because the coaches know him. If it was a situation where, let's say they'd hired a coach out of nowhere that didn't know what he can do, I don't believe he'd be getting this opportunity, right? This is a trust factor. They know him. They know what he can do. Because most coaches, to bring up a guy they're unfamiliar with, or they aren't familiar with, and to also pluck him into, he was a second pairing penalty killer last night. they wouldn't do it. And so I don't care. Yeah, he's big. He does. Okay, good. Well, we've never seen him do it in the NHL, but we've seen him do it in the AHL. I think that's what Rickcroft and Manson are counting on here. So you can see his confidence growing. And he's, he had the one, I thought, a little bit of a turnover last night, but I mean, it's going to happen. And we can criticize every single play. And it's unfair to pick apart. That's what we do. But it is a little bit, oh, you had a turnover. Oh, God, we better not get too crazy. But it's a big moment. And for Manson, again, just he is working that 7D like nobody. He looks like Picasso painting. You look across the minutes, and I'll just take a quick gander, but the bottom is 10 and the top is 22. And everyone probably feels like they're involved, right? And that is against a good team. That isn't against the team that is, you're playing Chicago Blackhawks. You're like, just open the door and just open the door. Like he was working it well. So I hated it. I hate 7D, but this guy is making it work, man. I that's all I can say, and then even Cece said it the other day, I think in an interview with Gregor, I think he's like,
on Gregor's show.
We don't usually like 7D, but we're maybe all a little fresher. And so they know, like the players know, because it's eating in your ice time. That 10 minutes Darnay is taking, that's 3 minutes each other right D should get more, but they're not. And they're spreading it out. And he is doing a good job. And I think that the top guys, Nurse and Cece, are better off when their minutes come down.
And they're not just throwing anybody out there. They're throwing in a guy out there the size and the shape that they need on that blue line. He's so rangy. Like that wingspan is crazy. And it's great for penalty killing because he can, they don't want to get seamed and they want to cut off passes, and he's really, really good. And I like his presence around his net. He's aware. Like we haven't seen a lot of times where he's been the guy that's like, oh, was that my, he seems to know what he's doing around the front of his net, right? That's what he's made his career out of so far. Real good performance, and interesting to watch him build. It's been a lot of fun. All right, that was the breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. By the way, did you see the end of the game? So this weird thing happened behind the net where it was a delayed penalty coming for the Oilers, and the puck ends up behind the net, and Stamkos is like, well, I'm willing to let this clock run out. And it had to be, 35 seconds? Where he was willing to just stand there and let the clock run out. The ref's yelling at the Oilers, you got to chase it. You got to chase it. Like, go get it and touch it. And then the whistle would blow. So McDavid kind of reluctantly went. And then he was sort of like, what the hell are we doing? Like, just let the clock run out. So the Oilers go on the power play. So now they're on the power play. The game's clearly over. And Evan Bouchard uncorks 2 clappers on the power play that hit the same guy and almost gets himself into a scrap because of it. So I guess I'll ask you the question. Was it offside of Bouchard to be uncorking the clappers late in the game on the power play with the thing over?
Well, first off, I don't know why the Oilers tell him they have to go touch the puck.
The ref was yelling at him. Go get it. Go chase it.
You don't have to.
What?
They don't have to do anything. There's no rule in the rule book that you have to go and play the puck. I've never seen that. I'd be like, no, we don't have to do it. We don't have to. He can. I believe the ref can blow it down if he wants. I believe he can. I might be wrong, but I believe he can. I might be wrong there. But as far as the end of the game, who cares? Who cares? That's get out of the way, man. If you don't want to, get out of the way. Like that's again, little brother, big brother. Get out of my way. I don't care. I don't care. Like that's your problem. Like even I remember we used to play and Kelly Buckberger used to drop down on his knees to block shots, right? And
like on his knees. So all of the padding was underneath him facing the ice.
The guy was psycho. And we'd have a conversation when I was with the Canucks, and someone said, we got to be careful not to hit him. And I forget who it was, maybe Murray Barron or something. Like, why? That's his choice. Yeah. We are shooting to score. And I was like, God damn, I love that answer. Like, we're just going to hammer that puck, and who cares? And I agree. Who cares, man? If you don't like it, get out of the way. Get out of the way. I do not care about your well-being when it comes to blocking shots. You're making the choice to get in the way. So shoot the puck. I love it. And I have Bouchard's getting a little edge. Good for you. You have a problem? Come tell me.
You're an animal. If a guy slid face first at you to block a shot, or if he tripped and ended up face first and you were lined up and you're staring at his face there, are you backing off that shot?
It's not my problem. That's not my problem. He made the choice. No, but think about it, man. Yeah. It's not like, so it's, I played with Todd Bertuzzi, and he was upset with what the Wings are doing. So he shot the puck into the Red Wings bench, and that was wrong. That is wrong.
Yeah.
But a player is choosing to block a shot in front of you. That's not your problem.
No.
That's not your problem, man. Don't do it. I have no problem shooting that puck. Now, I should probably not shoot so I can go around him and get it to the net.
Right.
But that
requires stick handling.
That's right. So it's not, I'm not probably the wrong guy. And I'm not talking about, when I say I'm talking about the collective the collective we. But I honestly, Matt, I never felt bad. When someone blocked a shot, they made the choice. They make the choice.
You probably get annoyed too when guys hit the goalie in the face mask and then go give him a tap on the pads. Like that's one of those like, hey, in practice, right? No, I mean in a game. The other goalie gets hit in the face. Like, you're not tapping him on the pads.
No, why? I would never. That's their choice. Again, that's the goalie's choice to be a goalie. That's not my choice. I would never be a goalie with a lazy glove hand like Zoobs. It is. So if you hit a goalie in a game in the head, it's not my fault. You chose that spot. And I know it sounds dark, but I wouldn't. It's not your problem. That's their problem. That's their problem.
It is a little bit dark, but it gives you the edge, and it's why you had a great long NHL career, Struddy. Joined now by Sterling Dirk, right inside the beautiful store over at Mr. Dirk. Sterling, time for a little rapid fire. You up for it?
I'm ready. Here we go.
All right, true or false? You took on title sponsorship of this podcast for the sole purpose of fixing Jason Strudwick's mess.
True. His wife came begging for help.
It's going to be a long, beautiful relationship. It's going to take us a while, pal. All right, true or false? If someone's frustrated looking at their wardrobe, doesn't like their options, it's immediately $1,500 to make any change.
False. You start with one item, you build it up. It's like anything in life. You just need to kind of start placing those pieces and then adding more and more, but it doesn't need to happen all at once.
True or false? Suits are the main thing that Mr. Dirk offers.
False. Actually, we carry a wide array of product from jeans, shoes, socks, underwear, t-shirts, casual wear. I mean, we specialize in tailoring, but we are head to toe for all of our clients from weekend to regular everyday office.
Great stuff. Check out the shop just off White Avenue at 102nd Street. And for all their stock, visit them online, mrdirk.com. Thanks, Sterling. I'll see you soon, buddy. I'm due.
We'll see you soon.
Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes is absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary. All right, let's get to takeaways. I want to take a big look, a wider view at the standings here and the situation that the Oilers have worked themselves into with 5 consecutive wins. Takeaways brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. It's the #1 dealership in all of Canada for 5 years running, and it's easy to see why. I recently went in and had the buying experience at Sherwood Buick GMC, and I can't tell you enough how accommodating and easy they make the whole process. And they have trucks in stock, which helps. When you want to see a truck, you want to buy a truck, you want to be able to get into one, Sherwood Buick GMC makes that easy for you. The staff is great. The process is streamlined. Financing is quick and easy. Go see Phil and the crew at Sherwood Buick GMC. Tell them Got Your Back sent you. They're the big dealership just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. So the Oilers have cracked off 5 straight wins. Four in a row is kind of like, yeah, you put together a tidy little streak. 5, now that's getting to be heater territory when you you pull 5 off in a row, Struds. And as you take a look at the standings, the question I have for you, in the Pacific Division, the Oilers are at 55 points, point back of the Los Angeles Kings for third. 3 points back of Vegas, who has a game in hand, and 3 points back of Seattle, who has 2 games in hand. Like, we were talking about, are they going to make the playoffs or not too long ago. It feels to me like there is a Pacific Division title that is definitely attainable for this team.
I think there's 2 conversations. So there's what they've done in the standings, which is impressive and important as far as, maybe taking a run at that first place. But the bigger conversation for me is the way they're playing and why, like, the wins are the byproduct of the way they're playing. And the way they're playing is, I believe, sustainable, because it's not like they're on a heater. It's not like Connor Lean are getting 5 points a game, right? Like, it's everyone contributing. And I think that's very important. So when you look at the way they're winning, they're beating teams. They're winning the games and they're beating teams. So it is a sustainable way of going about. Even there, Campbell's playing well, but it's not like he's had 5 shutouts. Like, it is a win. It is a sustainable way of winning games. So when you put that into context of the standings, and you look at some of the other teams, like I think Vegas without Mark Stone is the heartbeat of that team.
Yeah,
it is a huge issue for that, and we can. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about if he's out, and I don't know what's going to happen, but let's say he's out for a long time and they can go acquire some players. It's not the same. Mark Stone's our heartbeat. It's the same like when San Jose didn't bring back Pavelski. It was a huge mistake. Like, I think team altering mistake. But for the Oilers, they are playing the right way. And so for that reason, you can believe they can continue this on. And I believe they can track down those teams like Kings. You look at the goal differential. You can't. It's hard to sustain when you're, in that
they're
position.
-7, by the way. They've given up 7 more than they've scored. And the Oilers, to put this into reference for people, are +20. Seattle's +23. They get good work done at even strength. But your point about their play being sustainable because of the way they're winning games, I think that's well taken. Like, if it's kind of smoke and mirrors a little bit and they're winning games where you're going, maybe they shouldn't. That's not what's happening here. They're winning games that they should be winning. And the quality of play is what's getting them there. And who scares you, right? Like Seattle, they've been good. They've been consistent, but the Oilers play well against Seattle. And then Struds, like, look at the schedule. Have you looked at the Oilers' next 8 games? I'm going to read them off for you. Vancouver, Columbus, Chicago, Detroit, Philly, Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit. And no disrespect to any of these teams, but with the Oilers playing the way they are right now, is it unreasonable to think that they could pull 5 to 8 or 5 to 6 wins out of this 8-game stretch, if not more, just given the competition?
Yeah. And then you look at, I would agree. Yes. The way they're playing now, and they have to take a very mature approach to these games, saying that we are here to win, not here to compete. We're here to win. And I know competing is a part of it, but they've got to be very mature, and their approach has to be that we have to come out and just bury these teams, make them keep up with us. And 2 weeks ago, I would have said the Oilers are not capable of that type of performance.
Totally agree.
Now I believe they are, because they've done it 5 games in a row. And it's maturity. It's a maturity to your game. And it doesn't just fall on the big guys. It goes right down to whomever's in the pipes, whoever's, playing that night. You have to come out and just force that team to keep up with you. And I think there's a way of doing it, and those teams you talk about, I mean, holy geez, they're not that strong. And I'm focusing more on the next 3 games, because then they have a break, and it feels like it's, kind of 2 different seasons. But to their next 3 games, who'd you say is Vancouver, Columbus, Chicago?
Columbus, Chicago. Yeah, in that order.
Yeah, this should be 3 wins. And teams aren't going to look at it and say, "Oh, we got to get 6 points," but they have to look at it and say, "We got to get 3 points or 3 wins." If they do that, you go into your break feeling really good about yourself, and more importantly, that as a team, but more importantly, that individuals. You're looking at Kostin. I'm looking at McLeod. I'm looking at Fogle. I'm looking at Campbell. Desharnais, like Bouchard, Broberg. We haven't even talked about them today, how well they played.
Yeah.
All those guys are feeling good about their game. And you have, how we keep score? We keep score by points, like standings points. And we could be talking about 8-game win streak here.
And boy, talk about pulling it out, because they really needed this, but the schedule helped. Those 2 games against Anaheim and San Jose, those came at just the perfect time to give this team a toehold, because it prepped them for the big game on the weekend against Vegas. But the confluence of events where the schedule lightened up right at a time when their game looked to be improving or needed to improve, that was a huge break. And now this bit of scheduling here, there's times through the year where you just eat it as a team on the schedule front. We just saw Seattle go through that. And then there's soft spots, and mature teams recognize their schedule and the opportunities that exist on their schedule. And the Oilers are in the middle of one, and they're pushing through to one of the biggest opportunities they have on their schedule all year, Struds.
Yeah, for sure. And I do agree with that to a point, but also their game is in order, right? No. And I 2 weeks ago, I was not confident they could rattle off,
because they couldn't start on time. They've been starting on time. That's the maturity, right? Get out there and play your game right from the word go. Don't wait to see how hard the night's going to be.
Right. So now we've seen them play 3 very good teams. Are they elite? They're not the Boston Bruins, but I believe the 3 teams they played, the last 3 are playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they've won the games and beat the teams. They beat them. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, no, this, if they can get, I would have given the old, if they can get 3 points, this will be great. But they, now the way they're playing, I feel very confident saying they should win the next 3. I really do. They should win the next 3 because of the contribution again throughout the lineup.
Tidy little 5-game winning streak has the Oilers right back in the fray. I think the division title is there for the taking. I really do, given the way their schedule sets up, given the way they're playing. They're a good second half team, and they're definitely showing that again. Okay, Struds, hydrate, rest, recover, get some color back in your face. What's the rest of the day going to look like for a hungover Jason Strudwick?
Actually, I'm going to my son's school for a field trip. So
oh boy, you're going to be the smelly dad on the bus that smells
where
like
are the
booze.
mints? I need some mints.
Don't be that dad where all the kids are like, that guy smells funny.
Not good. It was a mistake, but God, it was worth it.
Oh, that port. Just can't get enough of that port. Oh, that's awesome. Struds, you did an okay job today. We'll give you a barely a passing grade today. But fair. Considering you were hungover,
fair.
Quality. All right, that'll wrap the podcast, folks. Big thanks for your downloads and your subscriptions. We really appreciate it. Leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. We love hearing your feedback. Also, you can send us an email, gybpod@gmail.com. Struds and I love your feedback. Or send a shout out to us on Twitter. Big thanks to our sponsors as well. Mr. Dirk, our title sponsor. DLR Vinyl Products, Weiss Johnson, and Sherwood Buick GMC. More podcasts will drop over the next few days. Oilers continue to be in action. We will continue to bring you content. So download and subscribe on whatever platform you prefer, and we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers, folks.